Hello, welcome. Welcome. This is the global community for adults who are healing CPTSD. And we've all been showing up here together once a week for over 9 years now. And it's an honor to be here with you every single week. We show up, we share from a lived experience perspective. We talk about what's been working for us and what hasn't been working so well for us in our healing journey. And what's happened organically over the years is we all tend to pop by here as often as we possibly can, and we check in with one another. So many of our community members that you'll see here weekly will be in the chat box together, and we've all sort of been together off and on for almost a decade. So you are warmly welcomed to our community. If this is your very first time hearing my voice, my name is Athena. I want to warmly welcome you, and I just want to say what an honor it is to be healing right beside you, because I am healing right beside you. I definitely don't have it all figured out, and anyone who says they do is lying. There's no such thing as anybody who's fully healed. So thank you so much for being here. Many of you know on Sundays and Mondays I lose my voice a little bit. So my apologies in advance if if my voice is distracting. And my apologies in advance for clearing my throat while I am here this evening with you. I'm going to pause and say hello to everyone who is here for our discussion. And then we're going to dive right in. As always, I'm going to describe my space for you. We're going to do some breath work. We have our devotional meditation from Morgan Harper Nichols. We have our healing strategy from Dr. Ariel Schwartz. And in about 30 to 45 minutes, we'll have an affirmation that we end our time with. We're going to run a little bit longer tonight than usual. So just a heads up on that. And thank you. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you for any thumbs up or likes that you decide to give it if it's helpful and supportive for your unique healing journey. And thank you for subscribing to the channel if that's something that you feel would be helpful for you. Hello, warm welcome to you, Jeffrey Sherman. Always so good to see you. Hello, Gabi. Hello, Midnight Blue. Hello, Poppy. Ninja Taco, hello, Recovery Buddy. So good to see you as always. Hello, Nathan. Hello, Angela. Hello to you, John Harvey. Oh, I'm so happy to be amongst my friends, my family, my friendly family of choice. A special thank you to our Blue Wrench crew, our moderators, Poppy, Ninja Taco, John Harvey. Thank you so much for always being here week after week, month after month, year after year, for almost a decade. Thank you for keeping the chat box a safe enough place for us to come and share and hang out. Hello, Nadine. So good to see you as always. And, I need my glasses for this one. I'm meeting you for the very first time. Something Phillips. Oh, I'm so sorry that the volume isn't working. Uh-oh. Can you all hear me at all? I want to make sure. How are you feeling, Miss Poppy? I've been thinking about you. Can you all hear me? Oh, it's so nice to have you with us, Nathan. So I'm going to call you Melly Phillips, or I'm going to call you Phillips, because I want to at least warmly welcome you. But I'm meeting you for the very first time, and I want to just say hi. Okay, great. I'm glad you can hear me. So we're going to do some breath work. And thank you for letting me know that you're enjoying the breath work. I received a whole slew of messages from you all. And I had no idea that the breath work was something that you were finding especially helpful. So knowing that is really helpful for me. Your feedback helps me so much. I cater this experience to you as much as possible. This is a bespoke experience as much as possible. So, I mean, if you share with me that the breath work is really, really helping you and helping to regulate your nervous system, then I'm going to continue to do that. I was a little nervous about it. Hello, warm welcome to you, Jennifer. So good to see you. But yeah, so thanks for all your feedback. So I am sitting in my workspace. I have a pillow to support my posture. I have a glass of water nearby as I usually lose my voice by the end of Monday. I do my most talking on Sundays and Mondays. And I'm going to describe I have a strong spine and a soft heart space and a soft belly. I invite you to sit in whatever way you feel most comfortable. You can sit seated, you can lie down, whatever way feels right for you, whatever way feels most comfortable for you. My purpose of having a strong spine and a soft heart space and a soft belly is so that I can remain open to receiving all of your love and being able to co-regulate with you. Two of the greatest ways we can regulate our nervous system are through deep breathing and co-regulating with another mammal. So here I am with 17 other mammals. For all I know, I mean, as far as I know, you're all mammals. All 17 of you are mammals. And we are going to breathe deeply together. We are going to co-regulate together, and hopefully I will be rewarded with a deep and beautiful yawn. That is always my goal, because if I'm yawning, I've activated my parasympathetic nervous system, and it means that my brain and my body are communicating and telling one another that we are not in danger. So thank you. Thank you for being my family, my friendly family of choice. Thank you for being safe enough and healthy enough and good enough, as per Pete Walker, as per Winnicott. And thank you for choosing to be here. Craig, hello. I'm sending you hugs. You are not late. You are right on time. We missed you last week. Or I missed you. Maybe I just didn't see you. Maybe I'm blind. I needed my glasses, but I missed you. We missed you, and we're really glad to see you. So here we go. We're going to take some breaths in. We're going to do some box breathing. We're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and we're going to do that 4 times. So here we go. I have one hand on my heart, and the other is on my belly. My spine is strong. My heart space and my belly are soft. And here we go. We're going to inhale in 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. On your own now. Feel free to make this breathing your own. You can extend your length of your exhale if you'd like. That's what I'm going to do. Last time together now. Inhale in 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Exhale for a little longer now. 4, 3, 2. Squeeze out a little more. 1. All Oh my goodness, I got a nice yawn out of that. So, for those of you who missed last week, I wanted to just pause and I want you to know, I know that when it's like a holiday weekend, like 4th of July, I know it is so difficult. So I know I didn't get a chance to see you, Recovery Buddy. I know I didn't get a chance to see you, Miss Poppy. I know I didn't get a chance to see you, John Harvey. And Craig, I know we didn't get a chance to see you. But those of you who were here and we got to hang out together and co-regulate together, it was beautiful and amazing and awesome as always. And I'm sending you all safe hugs. I'm offering them if you'd like to receive them. And I'm going to read for you our devotional meditation by Morgan Harper Nichols. And here we go. So I don't know if any of you remember, I'm probably dating myself by talking about this, but what I love so much about this week's artwork by Morgan Harper Nichols up on the screen, Joy Anyway. Our theme this week is finding joy while healing. And the devotional, the meditation that Morgan sent this week is, for all intents and purposes, the best way I can describe it, it reminds me of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Choose Your Own Adventure. Does anybody remember the Choose Your Own Adventure books? So it's a different type of devotional and meditation this week. And it's so exciting because we get to choose as we're reading. I'm going to read this to you, and you're going to see here that it is just a little bit different this week. Morgan is inviting us to choose. Aw, John Harvey says, I'm dating my age. I remember Mr. Bill. I remember Mr. Bill too. But do you remember Choose Your Own Adventure books? Does anybody remember Choose Your Own Adventure? Is it just me? It's just me. It's just me. Oh, Miss Gavi, get some rest, Gavi. We will miss you. Oh, I'm so glad you paused to say hello, Gavi. We love you. And hello to everyone else. I didn't get a chance to say hi to every single one of you, but I didn't miss you or skip you on purpose. It was truly an accident. So here we go. So Morgan is inviting us to choose. She says, consider these 4 verbs and then scroll down to the one that speaks to you. So tell me which one you choose, and then I'll tell you which one I choose. You can put it in the chat box. Hello to you, Bluey. We're so grateful that you've chosen to be here. Here we go. So Morgan says, consider these 4 verbs and then scroll down to the one that speaks to you. The 4 verbs are bloom, breathe, wander, and fly. So here we go. Bloom. For all the things that you are waiting for, may there be flowers upon flowers to remind you of what might still bloom here. While blooming flowers might not fix everything, perhaps they can remind you that even here, there is still room for something meaningful and fulfilling to come to life. Through sun, wind, and rain, somehow, through it all, it was not too late for that flower to bloom. I just hope that even in the smallest way, this can be true for you too. The next verb is breathe. Inhale. Exhale. And remember, you are allowed to pace yourself here. You are free to keep going in this life while also knowing this. Keep going does not mean you have to keep going as fast as possible. To simply keep breathing is a miraculous feat all on its own. If you need a little more rest, or you need a little bit more room to slow down, there is nothing wrong with longing for this, even when you're in the in-between, even before it all makes sense. Here's to seeking out spaces where you feel free to just be, mindfully pacing yourself and sowing seeds of peace. The next verb is wander. Let July be July. Let August be August. Let yourself just be, even in the uncertainty. And be free to embrace a sense of wonder, even in the smallest ways. Notice how the rivers wander, and the paths in the mountain foothills have a winding nature to them. Notice how they are carved within the landscape and invite a meandering pace. Notice how you have been learning to move through this space every single day. And lastly, fly. Oh, how beautifully you are learning to fly in your own way, hovering in open air above rich soil on wings made just for you. You move through the earth amongst all the other creatures who move in their own way too. Even in your quieter moments, there are these particular ways you have learned to be here. And whether or not others notice, your heart continues to beat. And you carry on through this garden of a day, learning to fly in your own way. For whatever word you chose, I hope it can remind you that even here you have been noticing the smallest things. Life is busy, so you may not always be able to give yourself the credit. But I hope that this small exercise can be a reminder that you are still learning to come alive right here in ways you may not have even realized. So which one did you choose? Did you choose bloom? Did you choose breathe? Or did you choose wander? Or did you choose fly? I thought for sure I would choose breathe, but I gotta say, when I got to fly, my heart just leapt out of my chest and I just loved it so much. Which one did you choose? Hello to you, Kate. So good to see you as always. Hello to you, Lauren. Good to see you. Wonderful to have you. I think I'm meeting you for the first time. Hello, is that Barb? Hello, Barb. Oh, I honor you with my hand on my heart. I honor you. I honor your journey. Thank you so much for being here. Which one did you choose? John Harvey chose fly. Bluey chose fly. Midnight Midnight Blue said, I got to fly in the meditation. Yes, you got to fly. Jeffrey Sherman chose fly. You guys, that one just, it really, really just, my heart was so happy. Not to say that bloom wasn't beautiful and that breathe was not breathtaking and that wander was not just curious and beautiful, and I loved it. But when I got to fly, I was like, oh, wow. Yes, I loved it. Ooh, Kate. Kate chose wander. Poppy chose fly. Oh, Lauren says hello. Thank you for welcoming me. I come on when I can, but it has been a long while. It's so good to have you here. Oh, so glad to have you. I'm so happy you chose to be here with us. Welcome to each of you. Thank you for being here. I loved co-regulating with you. Yeah. Kate says, I feel stuck. It sounds delightful to wander. Ninja Taco chose fly. We have a lot of flyers here tonight. And here we are. We're all breathing together as well. So here we go. We are going to dive right in to our healing strategy with Dr. Ariel Schwartz, please. And I am so grateful that we get to do this together. So please take a deep breath and just know that for the next 20 minutes, we are going to be talking about the healing strategy of managing emotional dysregulation. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about DBT, dialectical behavior therapy. We're going to hear a little bit of a story from someone named Bonnie. We're going to hear a little story from someone named Christine. And we're going to take a peek at what it might look like to be inside our window of tolerance, as coined by Dr. Dan Siegel. And we're going to talk about some different trauma responses and what they might look like. Okay? So buckle up. Here we go. It's going to be a solid, full-on 20 minutes minimum, I'm thinking. All right. So many of us who grew up in a dysfunctional, neglectful, or even abusive home have difficulty expressing emotions in a healthy way. Either we find ourselves losing our temper, crying uncontrollably, and feeling out of control, or we shut down and feel cut off from our feelings. Both patterns are examples of emotional dysregulation that tend to disrupt the lives of those of us living with CPTSD. So within the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to discuss the origins of these types of symptoms. We're going to learn skills to help us develop a healthy and balanced relationship to difficult emotions. And these tools are going to allow us to enrich our inner life and enhance our capacity for joy. Tonight's theme is joy. Joy anyway. Finding joy while healing. That is tonight's theme. So to start off, we're going to hear the story from a girl named Christine. And Christine says, it all started because my husband told me that he has to go away for a business trip. Logically, I know that he loves me and that it's only a short trip. But I got this horrible feeling that he's going to leave me. I felt so out of control, and then I got angry, and I couldn't stop myself from yelling. And then afterwards, I felt so bad about myself, and now I can't stop crying, and I don't know what to do. Dr. Ariel said, Christine walked into my office with tears rolling down her cheeks. She was caught in a web of emotional overwhelm and shame. We started our session by identifying the triggering event, which was learning that her husband was going away on a business trip. We explored the root of her fear of being left, and as is often the case, we needed to look at the patterns of relationships in her childhood home. Christine remembered how her mother would give her pretty dresses and dolls, and although she didn't want or like those things, she just wanted her mother's love. When Christine refused to wear the dresses, her mother would scream at her and cry out, "Why don't you love me?" And then afterwards, her mother would stop speaking to her, sometimes for days at a time. As part of her healing, Christine practiced connecting to her wise mind, a dialectical behavior therapy or DBT concept that represents an integration of thinking and feeling. And intellectually, she recognized that her husband had no intention of leaving her, but emotionally, she felt unhinged. Through her wise mind, she was able to realize that her feelings were not about her husband, they were about her childhood. Christine was able to say, "I am learning to find balance with my strong emotions," as she felt more accepting of his need to go away for work. And now that she felt grounded, she was able to turn her attention to the pain of her childhood wounds. So, when we are emotionally regulated, we feel grounded and calm. We're able to compassionately accept that difficult feelings are an inevitable part of life. This allows us to express a range of emotions without feeling overwhelmed, numb, or reliant upon harmful behaviors. Emotional regulation permits us to make healthy decisions, advocate for our needs, and skillfully communicate with others. In contrast, emotional dysregulation refers to having strong reactions such as uncontrollable sadness, rage, or fear that disrupt our ability to focus at work or to parent our children and maintain loving relationships. Like Christine, we might feel that we have a fear of abandonment. And alternatively, we might feel triggered by someone else's behavior or feel distressed when someone we care about is disappointed with us. Emotional dysregulation often leads to behaviors we later regret. For example, we might take out our anger on another person, or we might feel the urge to hurt ourselves. These behaviors tend to increase to a downward spiral in which we feel consumed by self hatred, or we start to think about suicide as the only way out of our pain. Emotional dysregulation is common among those of us who are living with CPTSD as a result of childhood trauma. In part, this is because we learn how to regulate our emotions during childhood. Children require healthy, caring, and attentive adults to help them develop their social and emotional intelligence. It is the job of a parent to help children feel safe enough to express uncomfortable feelings. When children feel supported, they learn that stressful moments are only temporary and that they can resolve into positive experiences of empowerment or deepened connections in relationships. However, when parents are emotionally overwhelmed, they fail to help their children develop a healthy emotional landscape. Within this unsafe territory, children become explosive or cut off from their feelings, and in some cases, children become hyper aware of their parents' distress, or they feel compelled to take care of their parents' emotional needs. So let's talk about our window of tolerance. The patterns learned in childhood can come out in adulthood as a tendency to cry uncontrollably, get angry easily, feel lethargic or dull, or to be overly attuned to the feelings of others in a codependent way. These patterns of emotional dysregulation indicate that we are outside of our window of tolerance, a term created by Dr. Dan Siegel to describe the range of stress that a person can manage without becoming overwhelmed. So when we are inside this optimal zone or window, we are able to skillfully attend to upsetting emotions and distressing physical sensations. And inside our window of tolerance, we are able to handle a certain amount of stress and return to a sense of safety. However, when we are outside our window of tolerance, we might feel high arousal emotions such as fear, irritability, restlessness, anger, or excessive crying. These feelings mean that our sympathetic nervous system has kicked in. And in contrast, low arousal emotions mean that we are feeling a parasympathetic system response. So we might feel fatigued, lethargic, helpless, emotionally dull, numb, or depressed. Often, those of us living with CPTSD alternate between the high highs and the low lows. So patterns of dysregulation learned in childhood often continue in adulthood. We might notice a tendency toward fight, flight, fawn, freeze, and faint responses. So let's take a look. If we are prone to a fight response, we might feel critical of ourselves, or even others. Or we may feel angry or full of rage. We may have a strong need to feel in control. If we relate to this pattern, we may need to work with our anger in therapy, which can provide a healthy outlet for this emotion. And rather than taking this feeling out on ourselves or others, we can use the energy of anger to set boundaries, feel empowered, or to protect others who are being mistreated. If we tend toward the flight response, we might notice a tendency to startle easily. We might feel hypervigilant to our surroundings and be on guard. We might feel flighty or caught up in our head. We may have racing thoughts or feel disconnected from our body. We may be fleeing from the reminders of our trauma. In this case, we may need to focus on slowing down and connecting with our body and cultivating mindfulness of the here and now. So what about the fawn response? When a child learns to cope by taking care of the parent's emotional needs, that child is relying on another defense structure termed the fawn trauma response. And the person who coined this phrase is Pete Walker. The fawn response involves trying to appease or please a person who is a source of threat. The goal is to prevent an attack by caring for the emotional or physical needs of the abuser. This submissive response often results in a pathological attachment to the abuser. We're going to dive a little deeper into the fawn trauma response in adulthood several weeks from now, but that's what we're going to mention for now. In adulthood, an unresolved fawn trauma response might lead us to patterns of codependency in which we sacrifice our own needs for the sake of maintaining relationships. If we struggle with the fawn trauma response, it will be important for us to focus on developing our boundaries and improving our sense of self-worth. So, next is freeze. A freeze response happens when we become absolutely still in anticipation of our life being threatened. Think of a deer in a car's headlights. Often there is a tendency to hold our breath, we might feel frozen, like we cannot move our body. Just as an animal releases stress by shaking, moving, or breathing deeply, it often helps us to explore healing movements to release us from a freeze trauma response. And lastly, the faint response happens when our bodies decide we are under threat and that we need to conserve energy in order to survive. With this response, we might feel disconnected, dissociative, numb, or we may have the urge to withdraw from others, or we might even experience nausea, dizziness, or a difficulty with our vision. These symptoms indicate that we are relying upon a primitive defense system that kicks in when it senses that death may be unavoidable. To heal from a faint response, it is wise to slowly reorient your attention toward your five senses. For example, you can take a moment to look around your space and pay attention to any cues that help you feel relaxed and calm. Or you might explore how it feels to connect with another person with whom you feel safe. We're going to discuss this more in a few weeks also when we talk about healing dissociative symptoms. But right now, let's talk about widening our window of tolerance. Initially, our trauma recovery focuses on building our capacity to feel resourceful and regulated. In other words, we learn how to stay within our window of tolerance. Once we feel better regulated, our trauma recovery journey will help us to expand our capacity to handle a wider range of emotional distress. This will assist us in widening our window of tolerance. In DBT, this process is called increasing our distress tolerance. We can increase our window of tolerance by compassionately paying attention to uncomfortable emotions and bodily sensations, while also recognizing that these feelings do not require knee-jerk reactivity. For example, we might notice a sense of irritability, a change in how we are breathing, a loss of focus, or that we suddenly become tired. Instead of pushing these feelings away, we can become curious. We might discover that these feelings are connected to the past. Maybe our body is letting us know that we need to make a change in our current circumstances. Now, instead of reacting impulsively, we can use positive coping strategies and choose wiser behaviors, such as setting a boundary, advocating for ourselves, or mindfully ending an unhealthy relationship. The imbalances of our autonomic nervous system have repercussions on our physical health. When we have been outside of our window of tolerance when we have been outside of our window of tolerance for, I just lost my place. Here we go. When we have been outside of our window of tolerance for an extended period of time, we are more likely to have problems with digestion, sleep, our immune system, and our cardiovascular health. But we can also access the wisdom of our body to help us to heal. For example, if we were not able to protect ourselves in a dangerous situation as a child, we can slowly and mindfully reclaim our ability to release our pent-up energy. And in this way, we can support our health by connecting to movements that help us resolve traumatic situations that may have been stuck in our body for many years. So we're not going to hear Bonnie's story today because we're coming up close to time. So let's just pause and let's just check in with ourselves. Let's take a moment and let's think about the earlier descriptions of the fight, flight, fawn, freeze, and faint responses. And let's just check in with ourselves. Do we see anything that seems similar to our own patterns of emotional response? This type of self-awareness is going to help us so much. It will be valuable to us as we work with healing strategies provided in the next couple of weeks, because we're doing a series on emotional dysregulation. Okay, so over the next few weeks, we're going to explore some of the common experiences of symptoms of emotional dysregulation as described by a few different stories that we'll hear, Bonnie and Carl. And the first healing strategy here that we're going to end with today is going to help us build distress tolerance. And then next week, we're going to check in with our bodies, and we're going to learn from somatic psychology, and we're going to access the healing power of the body. Remember that healing CPTSD requires a lot of patience, okay? So I want to encourage you to reconnect to your emotions and sensations gently, and do all of this at a pace that is not overwhelming for you, okay? You can broaden your capacity to be with discomfort, but it doesn't stop there. Our increased tolerance for distress and our use of embodiment, getting in touch with our physical sensations, all of these things can become the foundation for many positive changes, such as increased self-compassion and improvements in our relationships with others. So, we're going to increase our distress tolerance right now. Just check in with yourself. An important goal of therapy when we're working with a trauma therapist is to learn how to handle painful emotions skillfully. Many of you remember almost a decade ago when we started this channel, we talked about bearing the weight of the pain skillfully, right? We talked a lot about that. So it's important for us to learn how to be with our difficult feelings, because no matter how hard we try, we cannot avoid the challenges that come with being human. Oftentimes we feel uncomfortable sensations and painful emotions, and they come with habitual thoughts. These habitual thoughts can sound like, make it go away, or I cannot handle this. These thoughts can lead to self-harming behaviors, or explosive emotional outbursts, or even the urge to use substances. Distress tolerance is a mindfulness practice. Once again, we can use the structure of a seated meditation or whatever's most comfortable for you. And when you're ready to do this, you can set a timer for 5 minutes or so that you don't need to look at the clock, okay? So when you're comfortable, either seated or lying, or whichever feels most comfortable for you, maybe you're on a cushion on the floor, just check in with yourself. Begin to observe your sensations and your emotions. And if you notice an uncomfortable feeling, see if you can stay curious about your experience, rather than acting on any urge to push the sensation or the emotion away. It might help to remind yourself that all emotions are temporary. Instead of judging our experience, let's try describing our sensory experience to ourselves. Let us notice our temperature, the area of tension in the body, or the sound of my voice that you hear right now on this video. Observe what happens if you stay with your emotions just a little bit longer. Notice if there are any subtle changes that occur as you continue to breathe and observe your experience. Perhaps you find that the distress begins to subside as a natural consequence of your mindful, reflective awareness. Or you might see that you are able to turn toward the underlying emotions in a more conscious manner, one that allows for an experience of resolutions. The goal is for us to be accepting of the fact that we have emotions and that all emotions are temporary. How does that feel? I want you to know that I see you and I'm with you. And I know that this isn't fun and I know it's hard. I'm healing right alongside you. I honor you. I honor your process. I honor your journey. Let's end our time today with one of the Loving the Self affirmations from Lisa A. Romano's free affirmation app. I'm reading from the paperback book titled Loving the Self Affirmations. And here we go. Sometimes the messages we receive about love when we are small are not joyful. I know this week's theme is joy, finding joy in the midst of healing. Joy anyway. But sometimes the messages we receive about love when we are small are confusing, not joyful, confusing. Sometimes we learn to believe that love is about catering to the wants and needs of others while denying ourselves. Sometimes we confuse being needed for being loved. And sometimes we don't realize we are enabling others to need us because our ideas of love may not be healthy. Today I will focus on not doing for others what they can do by themselves. And if that angers others, I will remember that I am breaking unhealthy, codependent belief systems, and that in many ways, I am changing the old rules that once governed my relationships. I accept that by choosing to do so, this will cause some people I know to get angry. Today, I will practice accepting that it's okay when other people get angry at me when I don't do what they want me to do. We can do this, you guys. We can do this. We are healing trauma. We are healing trauma. Which, by the way, it brings me, I know we gotta go because we ran way long today, but I have been recording interviews for the We Are Healing Trauma virtual summit. It happens every year on September 2nd, which is CPTSD Awareness Day. Yes, I am wearing my wristband. I'm such a nerd, I know. But we are healing trauma. I have been recording these interviews with colleagues of mine and with just amazing people who are in the field of trauma. And I am continuously reminded that it is possible to find joy while we are healing. It is possible to find joy while we are healing. Every single one of these people that I have interviewed, they are on a healing journey and they are finding joy while healing. We are healing trauma. We are healing trauma. And all of our emotions are temporary. Joy is temporary, unfortunately. But so is anger, and so is sadness, and so is fear, and so is shame, and so is confusion. all of it is temporary. And I'm so grateful that I got a chance to be here with you tonight. And I'm kind of glad that we got a chance to run over. I don't get to be here for as long as I would like. So it's wonderful to see each and every one of you. And thank you for being in my life. And thank you for allowing me to be in yours. My hand is on my heart. And I just want to remind you that I will be back here with you next Monday and every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Or I'll see you over in our safe community. We're there every single day, 24/7, 365 days a year. There's a link in the description section of this video. There's also a link pinned in the chat box. And I just put a link in the chat box. So wherever and whenever I get to see you again, I hope you will be extra kind and extra patient and extra gentle with yourself, because you're worth it. And I'll see you soon. Good night, everyone.